Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you all how to go about the making of this beautiful dress, which has a two-layer gathered effect with a back waistline. Also on the armhole area, you can see the very stylish effect right there, coupled with the fact that it kind of looks like a halter neckline, but is not. I got my inspo from Instagram on Lucy O's page, who sells ready to wear outfits. Keep on watching if this sounds like something you want to learn how to do. With all that being said, let's get started with this tutorial. So first things first, we'll be drafting a basic bodice on my pattern paper, which is a skeleton of any type of outfit we intend making. At the top part right there is my shoulder line. As you can see, I'm labeling it right here. I have my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, then my half length. Before I marked my shoulder line, which is the very first line at the top part of my paper, I left about 3/4 of an inch. Then I marked my shoulder. Then under my shoulder line, I got 7.5 inches, which is my shoulder. From my shoulder line to my chest line is 8 inches. To my bust point is 10 inches. To my under bust is 13 inches. Then up to my half length is 16 inches. I also got my armhole as well. Please do not forget. So the entire length of this my paper from my shoulder line is 23.5 inches, and that's what I'll be working with. So now from this my half length line, which is this line, I'm going to be marking 2 inches below. So remember I said from my shoulder to my half length is 16 inches. Then from that my half length, I marked 2 inches below. Then I connected a point into a straight line, and I'll just label it my lower waistline. So I'll take the measurement of the remaining spaces I have from this my lower waistline to the ends of my paper, and right there I have 5.5 inches, and that is going to be for my back's effect. So now I'll start imputing my body measurement. On my waistline, I divided my waist circumference by 4, and what I have, I marked it on my waistline. Remember that on my chest line, I've already gotten the quarter of my bust circumference. So I connected it into my half length. The next thing is to divide my lower waist circumference by 4 and mark what I have on my lower waistline. So take the measurement of your lower waist circumference. So mine is 34 inches. When I divided it by 4, I mark what I have on the line labeled the lower waistline, and I also connected from my waistline into my lower waistline. The next thing I'm doing here is to mark my sewing allowance. So I maintained a sewing allowance of just 1 inch, and you can see how I am connecting it as well. So now from my actual body measurement, and not from the allowance, from this my body measurement, I'm connecting this like this into the other ends of my paper just to get my basque effect, so you can see. Then on this my allowance line here, I'm going to be marking half of an inch below like this. I'll come down by half of an inch this way. So this part is very necessary, reconnect it. So I would have actually done this before connecting my back's effect. So because of this, I will have to reconnect my back's effect from this half of an inch into the ends of my paper, making sure I cancel out the first line I connected initially, and that is it for the lower part. So I'll move over to my shoulder part so that I can get my neckline of 3 inches. Then I'll mark a neck depth of 4 inches because this dress has a high neckline. So in order to get a perfect round neckline, first of all, connect or create your neckline into a box before you go on ahead now to get your round neckline, just as I'm doing right here. And that is basically it. Now for the shoulder part, I'll be taking the measurement of this part of my shoulder to where my neck width started, and I'll divide what I have into 2, and I'll mark it right there. So I'm going to be getting my curve ruler now, so that from this middle of my shoulder, I'll be reconnecting this into my chest line. So this is to get that effect on the shoulder. It sort of looks like a halter neckline, but it's not. So make sure that your armhole is meeting at just this point right here. Okay, then I went up now by half of an inch from that my neck width, and now sloped this into the other part of my shoulder, and that is from my shoulder slant. Now I'm done with the drafting. I'll go on ahead now to cut this out exactly the way I have drafted. But something I didn't do here was to cut out my neckline yet, because I'm using this particular pattern paper to cut out for the front part and the back part of my dress, because I was short of pattern paper. I didn't have any extra pattern paper as at the time I was filming this tutorial. I'm done cutting this out on my fabric. I folded my fabric into two. Then on the armhole area, I left half of an inch, which is for my sewing allowance. But other parts I didn't, because remember I said that I have 5.5 inches for my back's area. So by the time I'll stitch the back's area using half of an inch, I will have 5 inches left, and it is totally fine. That is the length of the backs I want. So I just went on ahead now to pin this back. I didn't cut out the neckline yet, so this is something I did. I already marked out 1 inch, which is going to be for my zipper allowance here, 1 inch, because like I said earlier, I'm using one pattern paper for the front part and the back part of my dress. Okay, so now I brought out that 1 inch line, which I already folded in before. So I'm going to be getting my neck depth. Remember that the back neck depth is usually higher than that of the front. So for my back neck depth, I marked 2 inches, still maintaining a neck width of 3 inches. Then the next I did was that on my waistline, not on the lower waistline, that is on my half length, I extended that line into my zipper allowance part. Then I went up by half of an inch on my half length, and I also came down by half of an inch. So I'm going to be slanting this in like this. At both sides of this half of an inch, I marked upward and below my half length. So this is it. Now get my scissors and slash this and stop exactly on this point here, just a little. Then I'm going to be folding in this half of an inch I marked at both sides of this my half length. Here is what I have. I'll be getting my cello tape now to close up these two parts that are still open right here. So this style of dress always have this pointy sharp point at the back anytime you fix your zipper or you put on this dress. So doing this is going to eliminate that entirely. Okay, it's not going to shorten the length of your fabric or your dress. It is still going to be the same, but this will just help to get rid of that pointy effect which always appears at the back of our dress for this particular type of style. If you are used to making this style, you understand what I mean. So now that I've achieved that, I'll still go on ahead now to come out by half of an inch on the same half length again. Okay, then I'm going to be slanting this upward and below. I am doing this because I know what I'm saying. I've made this type of dress countless times, and it always have this pointy sharp points at the back parts anytime you wear this style of dress. So that is why I came up with something like this, so that I will not have issues with people always asking why is your zipper pointy at the back, or clients saying their zipper is pointy at the back. So this helps a lot. I'd advise you go with this method. Okay, so now that I'm done with that, I went on ahead now to cut out the neckline for the back. Now I'm going to be cutting it out on my fabric. I'll be folding my fabric into two, and I'm going to be pinning my pattern paper on it just like this. So when I'm done pinning, I will now go on ahead to cut this out. The only part I'm going to be leaving allowance is the armhole and then the neckline. So the neckline, I'm leaving about quarter of an inch. The armhole will be half of an inch. Then the sides, I'll cut exactly the same thing, the zipper area and then the basque area. So because I'm done cutting this out, I'll still fold in that one in zipper allowance and now cut out the front neckline. So if you have extra pattern paper, please go on ahead to draft this on two different pattern paper. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm just trying to economize. Then I now got the fabric for my front part. I place my pattern paper on it. On the neckline, leave about quarter of an inch, okay, for our allowance. So this is all I have. I've cut out a facing for this, and I'm just going to be working on the front part of our dress first for the neckline. So this is the right side of my front dress facing the camera. This is my facing right here. I stitched it all around. I just folded it in using quarter of an inch, and this is the right side and this is the left. So you're going to be placing the right side of your facing on top of the right side of your fabric on the neckline, just as I'm doing right here like this. And then I will go on ahead and pin this all around. When I'm done pinning, I'll go on ahead and stitch this. Remember, the right side of your facing the right side of your fabric or your dress. Okay, I'll also repeat the same thing for the back part. I will place them right sides facing each other and stitch the neckline area. So now I'm done stitching. This is what I have. Now my facing is on the right side of my dress. I'll be flipping it now to the wrong side of my dress, okay, by turning it this other way. So when you do this, it's not going to be flat. So all I have to do is to use my iron to make this flat so that it can relax properly. And I'm also going to be sprinkling water on the facing like this so that it can lap very well. So when I was done with that, now I'll get my hemming gum to achieve a neat finishing. I'll raise my facing up like this, and I'll put my hemming gum in between my facing and my fabric, and now drop or place my iron on top of my facing like this so that my hemming gum can melt. And when this happens, your facing is not going to be pulling or coming up. I always do this all the time because I do not want stitches all around the right side of my fabric. So when I was done with this is what I have. I also did the same thing for the back part of my dress. This is it for the back. Now I'm going to start joining right sides facing each other, making sure they align on the armhole and all the sides. I pin the shoulder and the sides as well. So on the shoulder, I'm going to join using half of an inch. Then from my armhole, I'll come down by at least 3/4 of an inch before I stitch the sides using just half of an inch. And I did the same thing for the both sides of this my dress. So when I was done, I was not really impressed with the armhole. It's not giving me that deep cut outer neckline. So what I just did was to mark extra 1 inch like this from the shoulder to the chest line. Then I'm going ahead to cut this out. I want it to look smaller on the shoulder, okay? So after that, I'm going to be taking the measurement of what I have on the lower part of this my dress, from the zipper part all the way to the other side of the zipper part. So when whatever I have here, I'll be multiplying it by 3. So I had 41 inches and I multiplied it by 3. So multiply by 3, I was having around 123, as you can see right here. So I'm going ahead to cut out the lower part, but because this tutorial was getting longer than expected, so I had to split the tutorial into 2. So in the second part of the tutorial, we'll be completing the sewing of this particular outfit. Trust me, something you definitely want to learn how to recreate, and it looks so good on me by the end of the day. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel in case you haven't. Please do turn on your notification bell so you get notified immediately I post the second part of this tutorial. So till some other time, I'll see you all next time on the same channel. Do have a lovely time ahead of you. Bye.